Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear second year students, welcome back again to our second lecture, which is entitled Exploration of Teaching. And in today's lecture, we will be speaking about self-observation. How do teachers observe their own teaching in order to make decisions about what things need to be modified, what things need to be adjusted, and what things need to be changed. So we're going to start the lecture with this diagram. As you see, how can teachers explore their own teaching? The process of exploration takes different steps. The first step of the exploration process is collecting samples of teaching. So as you see in the diagram, here we have the first step is collecting samples of teaching. After we collect the samples of teaching, we start analyzing these samples. After that, we appraise teaching, we evaluate teaching, and then the next step is to decide on changes in teaching behavior. What teaching behaviors need to be changed, and then we implement the new plan. What is our new plan according to the decisions that we have reached at? Okay, now we try to implement the new plan. After we implement the new plan, then we again start collecting samples and analyzing teaching, appraising teaching, deciding changes. So it is a cycle. Okay, it is a non-stop cycle. We start from collecting samples, analyzing, appraising, deciding on changes, and implementing the new method, the new plan. Now let's see them one by one. Collecting samples of teaching. Now, the question is, why do we need to collect samples of our teaching? What for? What is the reason? Of course, the reason behind collecting samples of our teaching is to have descriptions of what actually goes on in the classroom that focus attention on some aspect of our teaching. So we really want to know what is going on inside our classroom, or if we want to have a vision about the certain aspects of our teaching. So for this reason, we need to collect samples of our teaching. Now, the other question, how do we collect samples of our teaching? In what ways? The best way to collect the samples is by using audio recorder or camcorder. So some teachers prefer audio taping because of the visual aspect. It helps in providing us with ample information about the students' verbal and non-verbal behaviors. So some teachers prefer using the audio recorder. So they audio record the lessons, and some others prefer the videotaping of the lessons. They say, okay, because of the visual aspect in the videotaping, then it will help us to know more information about the students' both verbal and non-verbal behaviors. Okay, now how taping is done? How do we tape the lectures? How do we tape the lessons? How taping is done depends on the goals of exploration. Now here, if we want to tape the lesson, we should first identify the goal. What is the goal of our exploration? Is the goal, for example, about the teacher, the way he deals, for example, with correcting errors, or the way he distributes questions among the students, or the goal is the student himself? So it depends on the goals. Now let's see how do we do it. If you are after exploring the students' reactions to instructions or explanations, the video camera can be focused on the students So if the student is your focus, if you want to discover, to find out the kind of reactions to instructions and explanations provided by the teacher from the students, then this time you have to focus the camera on the students so that you can identify what kind of reactions, what kind of uh, behaviors, whether they are verbal or non-verbal, do students do when they receive instructions or explanations. So this time you focus the video camera on the students. If your goal is different, if you are after knowing what is going on during group work, focus the camcorder on a group of students for a period of time. So sometimes you assign group work to your students, okay, and you have so many different students, or you have many students inside the classroom, so you have different groups of students. So this time, if you want to know what is going on in group work, so you focus the camera on one group for a period of time so that you can identify what is going on inside this group. Okay, and later you go to another group and to another group so that you can make a clear image about what is going on in group work. So for example, sometimes in group work only one student works. Other times, you have what many students are participating. So you have to know these things about the kind of interaction that happens inside the group work. So you focus your camera on that group. If you have another aim or another goal, for example, to explore the type of a question you as a teacher, you ask your students, have the camcorder focused on you. So this time, if you want to know what kind of questions you ask, you have to focus the camera on you. Then after we collected the samples, then we need to do what? We need to analyze the samples of teaching. Analyzing the collected samples depends on the objective of your exploration. So again, here you cannot do the analysis in an arbitrary way, in haphazard way. No, you have to identify an objective of your analysis. What is the objective of your exploration? Okay, so the analysis can be done in two phases or in two steps. Phase 2 or phase 1 or step 1, listen or view the tape while doing on one or more of the following tasks. The first, if you have an audio record of the lesson, you listen. If you have a tape record of the video of the lesson, you have to watch or to view. While you are listening or while you are viewing the tape, you have to do a couple of tasks. What are these tasks? First, focus attention on the aspect of teaching you are interested in learning more about, and write down actual examples of the aspect. So if you are after for example, the aspect of asking questions, then you have to focus on that specific aspect. Okay, you focus on it. You listen, you view the whole video, you listen to the whole audio, but you focus your attention on the specific aspect you are after exploring. Okay, and you write down actual examples of the aspect. So you write down the kind of questions you asked, okay, the actual ones as they are used inside the classroom. Later, you make short transcripts from the audio or the videotapes. Okay, you write a kind of scenario, what happened inside the classroom. So you write short transcripts from the audio or the videotapes. Then you divide the behaviors you are interested in. What are the behaviors you are interested in? So, for example, you are interested in the students' reactions to questions. Okay, so you write the kind of behavior. Okay, this way. And if you are interested in how do students receive explanation, you write about it. If you are interested in the students' non-verbal behavior, you write about it. If you are interested in their verbal behavior, you also list it in different locations. So you list the behaviors according to their types into different sets. Then you take notes. What notes you have noticed in the process of exploring your teaching. This is phase one. This is a step one. Step two, study interaction and look for patterns by asking the following questions. So you study the kind of interaction that is actually happening inside the classroom, and you look for patterns. You look for patterns. What is repeated frequently. So this is we consider it as a pattern. So you ask yourself the following questions. What is going on? What is going on inside the classroom? Okay, how is it going on? And how things are done inside the classroom? And what behaviors do I say recurring? And what behaviors, you say that they are reoccurring, they frequently occur. Then after you finish analyzing, you come to the third step, which is appraising teaching, evaluating teaching. The next step in the exploration process is evaluate teaching based on the analysis. Of course, now your evaluation should be based on the former step, which is the analysis. It is recommended that the evaluation of teaching shouldn't be done in terms of good-bad dichotomy. Now, when you try to evaluate your teaching, you have to avoid saying that this is good and this is bad. Okay, you have to avoid this. Because why? Because such a judgment will hinder the way of exploring. Because if we give such a judgment, this will interrupt the way of exploration. This is not going to make the process of exploration unbiased. Okay, no, it will make the process of exploration biased. Okay, so judgments like, wow, I have done a great job today, and oh, I'm not a very good teacher, can get in the way of seeing our teaching clearly. So they will hinder the way we see our teaching clearly. So we get so involved in the good feelings from our positive judgments and in the bad feelings from our negative judgments that we miss out capturing descriptions that could be quite useful. Okay, so we should avoid giving positive judgments or negative ones, because these judgments, these feelings, the good feelings resulted from the positive judgment and the bad feelings resulted from negative judgment will block us from seeing what is really going on inside our teaching, inside our language classrooms. So the question is, how do we appraise our teaching then? Of course, we can do it. We can do so by asking interpretative questions like, how are opportunities possibly provided for students in my class to learn the target language? So you ask yourself an interpretative question about the opportunities that you provide for your students in your classroom to help them learn the target language. And how are opportunities possibly hampered. Okay, and you ask yourself this question to see if you have provided them these opportunities, if you did not provide them with such opportunities. Now, the previously mentioned questions are asked in relation to exploring the process of teaching in general. So they are asked for the sake of exploring the process of teaching in general. In relation, if you are after appraising a specific aspects or areas of your teaching, you have to ask, you have to adjust the questions in such a way that addresses the specific aspect you are after. For example, if you are after exploring a student's error correction, you may ask questions like, is my treatment of a student's errors likable, comprehensible? So you ask yourself this way. If you correct your students' errors, so you have to say, you don't have to say it is good or bad. No, you have to say, is it likable? Do the students like the way I correct their errors? Or do they understand it? Do they comprehend the way I correct their errors? Okay. Does my treatment of a student's errors provide them opportunities for feedback on their English? So you ask yourself, when I correct the student's errors, now the way I correct errors, does it provide the students with an opportunity for feedback on their teaching? You ask yourself the same. We can appraise our teaching by reasoning that motivates our teaching practices. We can ask questions like the following to help guide us through the process of reasoning. Why do I teach the way I do? You ask yourself this question. Why do I teach the way I do? Why don't I try new techniques? So you keep asking yourself such questions that will help you think about what you really do inside the classroom, and why do you teach this way, and why don't you try some other new techniques while you are teaching certain aspects of the language. After you finish the appraising phase or appraising step, the evaluation step, then you come to the other step, which is deciding on changes in teaching behavior. You decide on what changes you have to do in your teaching behavior. So the next step in the exploration cycle is to decide on changes we want to make in our teaching through questions like, again, you ask questions. So you may ask, what do I want to keep doing? So what are the things that I really find them interesting and they are motivating for my students, and I want to keep doing them. So you make a decision about the things that you want to keep doing. Then what do I want to change? Now what things you really feel that they need change, and you have to decide what are these things. How can I break the pattern? So sometimes you feel that you keep the same thing, you keep repeating the same thing frequently, and this makes a pattern. Now you ask yourself, how do I break that pattern? Of course, now you break the pattern by inventing a new way, by diverting it from the frequency that it happens into another way. And how can I bring about new consequences? Now, what makes me or what enables me to bring about new consequences? Okay, so that I can gain new results. Why do we need to change the way we teach? This is a very crucial question. You may ask yourself, why do we need to change the way we teach? Of course, we need to change the way we teach because there is a problem that needs solution. There is a problem that needs solution. That's why we need to change the way we teach. Now, what problems frequently occur in language classes? What are the problems that currently occur, in the language classes? Of course, some of them, like students don't talk, instructions are not clear, students speak their native language excessively. These are examples of the kind of problems that happen, that occur inside the language classrooms. Okay, that's all for today. I wish to listen to your questions and comments. If you have any question and comment while we are, delivering the live streaming, I will expect you to ask questions. Thank you. Goodbye.